Folks, we're live. Welcome to the pre-show. This is not the show, it is the pre-show. Just getting set up, making sure everything's in alignment before we go live over on subspace.radio. And we are live right now on the Facebook channels and pages, I guess they are, groups, and also over on my YouTube channel. And so if you're listening on the radio, you're not hearing me yet. So we started 3 minutes after the top of the hour. So welcome to everybody who's in here already. Leslie Holker, you were here quite early and had to run off and do things. Good to see you. And Field Guy is here and Jama is here. Haven't seen you for a long time. Good to have you here. And Elderberry is here. And so people are starting to filter in as we are getting ready to go live over on the radio station. So welcome, everybody. Good to have you here. Let's see, I got the hijacking going. We still have not figured out the wiring issue between the three different programs it takes to run this broadcast. We haven't quite figured out why we still can't broadcast a guest I have on, and I can't hear them while we're doing that. We can't figure out how we are not wired right. And we've got some people that are going to help us out with that, but it's been dragging on a bit. So we'll have to see what we can do. I've talked to StreamYard, the program I use to broadcast, and they have no idea what I'm talking about, it seems. So, hey, Mordecai. Good to see you. I was going to say Mordecai. Mordecai, good to see you. Thanks for catching me live. That's cool. Grumpy Stack, good to see you. And so, folks, we got about 40 seconds, and we go live over on subspace.radio as I get something in my eye. This is just us being informal. This is not the show. I always tell everybody, don't shake a stick at it. Don't be too happy yet. We're not the show for another 20 seconds. So I'm going to go dark. Don't go anywhere. We'll go dark, and we'll be right back with the opening of the show.
The Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Hey, folks, happy Wednesday night. This is me, your host, Scotty Roberts, and you're listening to my show, the Intrepid radio program, right here on subspace.radio. And if you're over there just listening to the audio, I want you to know you can also catch this show in its video simulcast in several different places, 3 different places over on Facebook, my Facebook being one, Intrepid Radio's Facebook, Subspace Radio's Facebook, and then you can also catch it on my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. So go on over and you can catch us live over there. And that is probably the best place that you will find a chat room. Now, if you've connected with this show via Facebook, you can see the chat room, but only the chat room that plays in that particular Facebook channel. If you want to see the full chat room, see all the other Intrepids, have some good conversation, come on over to the YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see us all over there. So welcome to everybody that I did not get a chance to say welcome to in the pre-show. I do have to say Michelle Canham-Free. Good to see you, Michelle. Glad that you're here too. And that people are making it in. And that's all I got to say about that. I want to do a quick self-promo. It's easy to do. You can talk to Leslie about this one. This is the book I wrote with Andy Dabbs. And I was originally hired as his ghostwriter. Then he said, no, man, I want you to be part of it. I want your name to be on the book and so on. So this is Andy Dabbs, Anton Dabbs. This is his story about his kind of a rags to riches, bad boy to good guy, working hand to mouth to multimillionaire. And in there, all the different things about, especially his anxieties, the things that seem to be blockers for him, things that tried to hold him back in life, and how he overcame that. And so this is a great book. You can get this version, which is the hardcover, and it's full color on the inside. He's just got different photos of different things that are in there, and it's in color. It's the premium edition. And you can also get the soft cover color version and the soft color black and white edition. So go over to AntonDabs.com. Why is Andy instead of Auntie? I don't know. I think because Anton, it's like, how do you get Dick out of Richard? Don't answer that. It's a nickname, shortened version of the name. He's Andy. I've always known him as Andy, but he's Antone. No, I take that back. When I first met him, he was Antone. That's how I know him, Antone. And then we became familiar, and so on and so forth. So it's great to read, says Leslie, with laughter, tears, total inspiration. Thank you for that, Leslie. So this was a little different book for me to write, because it was all had to do with kind of biographical material, as well as talking about psychological issues. And so this is a good book. 20 Years From Now is the title, and it's subtitled, I got to look at it to remember, A Lifetime of Wrangling Anxiety While Striving to Create Success. And there is Andy. He's on the front cover with his wife, Reagan. You can see them right there. And Gus the Bus. And there he's also on the back cover. There's a great picture of Andy there. And, of course, yours truly there. And so there you go. That's the book. So go over and check it out. AntonDabs.com. It's Antone. We say Anton, so everybody knows how to spell it when you're going to the website. And thanks for putting that up in there, Leslie. I appreciate that. And Leslie's already read it, and she will attest I'll give you her testimonial on the book. So it's just out, like a weekish ago, something like that, 2 weeks ago. And so it's still fresh and new. And we're already working on another book. It's not a series. It's not a sequel. It's just another book on digging deeper into the anxiety issue, Andy and I. So that'll be coming up in the upcoming months. And so again, hey to everybody over there. Thanks for being here. And also, I'll give you one more plug. If you want to see The Sword in the Clay, and you can see that right here. It's up right. I can't do my finger because I'm doing it backwards. That book right there at the top. That came out several months ago. But if you want to go see it, it's a picture book, but it's a historical book. It's a detailed book. It's a good story, ghost stories, historical, et cetera, et cetera. You can go take a look at that book at theswordintheclay.com. And so check it out, and check out some other things that are up and coming. And so thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight. I appreciate having you here. It's, I got this thing that's going on with my eyes, and I keep thinking I'm seeing something there or there. I've got that, I told you I'm starting to get cataracts in my eyes at the young age of 62. And I blink sometimes, and I get a flash, and it's way out here in my peripheral vision. And it started on this side as well. It's like a little flash, but then it goes in the shape of a corona, like on the side of my peripheral vision, with a flash right in the middle. And I didn't know what that was when I started getting that. I thought, uh-oh, have I got a problem with my eyes? And my eyes are constantly blurry, whether I got my glasses on or not. And I've got to clear them. It's like trying to clear your eyes. You're like, there we go. Now I can see clear. And then there are some days I don't even need my glasses. I can see crystal clear. But they told me I had cataracts starting up and won't be a problem for a long time. But I got to tell you, it's irritating the hell out of me. And I will see like flashes to the right and to the left. And I will sometimes see what looks like shadows moving. And because I'm a paranormalist and an investigator, I always look and I go, did I see something? Or is that my eyes playing tricks on me again? Literally. So we'll see how that goes in the upcoming months. I may just go to my doc and say, hey, we got to fix this problem. It's becoming really irritating. So, and I've heard pretty good things about the results of having your cataracts removed. So there you go. No, it's not diabetic, Grumpy. I've had my eyes checked for that, and they said I have no diabetic deterioration in my eyes at all. And that was as recently as about 3-4 weeks ago. So that's a good thing. I had to go over to the specialist optical people at the separate clinic from the hospital, and they ran some tests and stuff and did all that. And they're the ones that said, "Hey, you got the beginnings of cataracts, and don't worry about it too much." And it was only in the right eye when I went, and then literally, is it psychosomatic or what? Within a week after I had that visit, I started getting it in the left eye. And that was about 6 months ago. So there you go. I see Sam is sending me messages. My son, I think it's him. Yeah, there he is. To join the show. Yes, I can. And Sam, if you're listening, I can't really bring you in until the after show, which starts at 10 o'clock, because I won't be able to hear you because we're broadcasting. That is one of the, we've got some kind of glitch that's been plaguing us for several weeks now. And if I take a caller, it'll broadcast, but I can't hear you on this end. There's something up with the setup, and we have not been able to figure it out. With all the people involved in it, we can't figure out why it's doing that. I will send you the link, but stick around if you're around, son. That's my son, Sam, by the way, folks. That's why I'm giving him special treatment here. If you're sticking around till after 10 o'clock, which is about 48 minutes from now, use this link and call in. Because after this show goes off air, we stick around for the captain's cabin. So here you go, Sam. I think you're listening live still. Here's the link. I'm going to paste it in your messenger window. Boom. So we may have Sam the Man on here. The last time Sam was really on with us, other than a couple of visits, was back when I was in Louisiana. And hey, Beth Kirkham, I haven't seen you for a while. Good to see you. And so we might get Sam in here. He's free tonight. That's fantastic. So he's over in the chat room. Say hello to my eldest son, Sam. He turned 22 just a couple of weeks ago. And so he is the man. And we'll get him on here during the captain's cabin. Beth Kirkham says, we get cataracts because we are old. Ain't that the truth? My eye doctor's keeping track of those other stuff. Yeah, that's what, when I was young, I thought cataracts, I won't have to worry about that till I'm in my 80s. I guess it can hit you in your 60s. I also know Terry Pitts, who is on with Ken Ballo's show many times in the morning. He said to me on air the other day, he said, I had cataracts. I had mine removed already, and it was like night and day. Now, I'm not losing my vision. Sometimes it's just fuzzy. It's fuzzy like I just woke up and you can't clear your eyes. That's the feel it has. So Field Guys has been like 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, 2 years when we were down in Louisiana, if that's what you're referring to. Operation Takeover Trailer. That was it. It was the studio away from the studio. What did we call it? I can't even remember how I referred to the show back then. But Sam joined me a lot down there because we lived in a trailer together for 4 months. So we'll get him on tonight after the top of the hour. And until then, let's get into our topic for tonight, which is really picking up where we left off from Monday. And it's this whole idea of being woke versus being awake. There is a big difference. And of course, we can laugh and joke around, we're not talking about waking somebody up in the morning or waking up from slumber or sleep. We're talking about spiritual awakening or enlightenment. Being woke has absolutely zero to do with anything other than political stance on things. It has nothing to do with being enlightened. Because if you were enlightened by being awake or woke, there would not be the kind of fallout we see from wokeism. nowadays. And we're going to get into that a little bit more. We left off at a certain spot last time we were here about this, which was Monday night. And we're going to pick up where we left off on that. But there's a big problem with wokeness by definition in the political realm. And I've said, not talking about politics at all, I said, are you awake? It's not the same thing as being woke. It's a very different thing. And wokeism, you don't even need to look it up. If you believe you are woke, you kind of know what the Merriam-Webster or the Urban Dictionary has to say about being woke. And it's not incorrect grammar for waking you up in the morning or bringing you to attention to something. When I tell you to be awake, I'm telling you to open up your eyes, to come out of the dream world, the dream state of the rest of the world, and rise above that. Be awakened, be enlightened. Open your eyes a little bit. Woke people are telling you that they're imploring you to educate yourself on current events and political issues, that being woke is being plugged in and being actively aware and involved in the world around you. That's what people who in the woke movement, if you will say about wokeism. Beth Kirkham says that's just a word the Republicans use for stuff they don't like or understand. What, woke? No, I disagree. But you can hold that opinion. I don't think that's the word that's used. It's used for a certain purpose. If I use it as a conservative, I would say somebody that's being woke. It's being woke is literally camping out on an idea without taking any action to do anything. You can be woke because, you've woken up to the cause, or you've woken up to this or that. Being woke isn't the same thing. It's used as a political tool from both sides of that spectrum, both ends of that spectrum. And the word holds a partisan undertone that we usually don't even notice. And if we do, we probably disagree with it, or we don't disagree with it, depending on if you think you're woke or not. The word woke implies that to support the liberal point of view, and I'm not using liberal there as a derogatory. I'm saying if you are liberal and you say you're woke, you're saying that it's you. It implies that you support a liberal point of view and that you're socially aware. Woke people are heavily informed and actively involved with liberal social issues. That's the truth of the word. And if you're leading, say, something like a Black Lives Matter protest, you would probably consider yourself woke. If you're calling your congressperson to advocate for Planned Parenthood, you're probably woke. If you're handing out pro-life leaflets saying that you believe in saving the life of the unborn, you probably will not receive the woke label. That's a different kind of woke. That's not woke. That's something different. And this is biased nomenclature is what it is. And it's rooted in a belief held by some on the left that people are only conservatives because they're uneducated and are stupid. And so if only people were smarter, more informed, more woke, then surely the world would see the Democratic light and switch sides. This is literally how wokeism believes. Nevertheless, it's crucial to see the fault in this mindset. There's a fault in this. Some of the most woke, socially informed, and engaged people I know are woke from the right. They're not liberals or Democrats. They could be Republicans. They're conservatives. They could be libertarians. They're woke from the other end of the spectrum. I know conservatives who watch the news 24/7. They read books, they read papers, they study, they research, and don't let a single current event slip their notice. I know people who utilize grassroots efforts to engage with their community, to raise awareness for an issue that might be of the utmost importance to them. Their issues might be anti-abortion legislation, gun legislation, Second Amendment, First Amendment, whatever it might be. Those are their issues for their wokeism. And conservatism isn't about being misinformed. And being woke isn't about being progressive or liberal. There are educated, impassioned individuals on all sides of an issue. And I'm going to tell you something right now. If you don't believe that, you're not awake. If you don't buy what I just said, you are not awake. Not by my standards, but by the standards of being awake. Wokeism is partisan, and it's held to be partisan. It's a political toy used by both sides. You're not as woke as me because you don't believe what I believe. Oh, you're a dumb liberal, therefore you're woke. This is the way it's used. It's a political football. So I do acknowledge that the origins of the word woke in politics and in current events, it stemmed from the Black community and its fight for equality. I get that, and I agree with that. Just like I might say, if Ruben Fasthorst, my friend, were here, we were talking about equality for Native Americans. That is a woke stance. I get that. The word woke isn't bad. It's the way it's used, and it's what it implies and the way it's used. I understand that historically, racial equality has been primarily driven by the liberal side of things, to a certain extent. And hence the historical connection between the word woke and partisanship is pretty natural. However, woke is spreading. It's taking on new meaning. It's got new reach. Woke is starting to become an umbrella term for all that's just from one point of view, thus making justice synonymous with the Democratic political platform. That is what they would have you believe. If you do not support a Democratic political platform, Democratic with a capital D, meaning the party, then you are just not woke because you don't see life as it really is, and therefore you're just a dumb conservative, uneducated. So such a usage of language is merely one example of rampant political polarization in the United States. We would rather assume that people on the other side are misinformed or they're just downright idiots than acknowledge the viability of different opinions or priorities or points of view. Do you know what you become when you stand back from all the fighting and the polarization and all of that? You don't become woke. Frankly, you kind of become enlightened. You become awake. You've risen above the fray and you see it for what it is. And you see that both sides might have viable, valuable arguments. So furthermore, we have reached a point, especially in our society here in the United States, where we often isolate ourselves from people with differing political opinions. I was just thinking about this again today, and it's a story I've told you all before, how a good friend of mine of 27 years suddenly up and removed himself as being a friend of mine because I voted for Donald Trump. This is about 5 or 6 years ago when this happened. And I said, are you kidding me? And he didn't even have, and I will say it, he didn't even have the balls to call me on the phone or say, hey, let's get together for coffee and talk. I got to share something with you. None of that. It was all in an email. And I said, are you kidding me? And I'll bet he believes he's really woke and really enlightened. Which is funny. Those are the things we used to talk about. We never really talked politics all that much. The whole 27 years I knew him. I always thought he was kind of conservative by his points of view, but we talked about other things. We talked about spirituality. We talked about magic. We talked about the occult and paganism and Christianity and other things that we always talked about those things. And he was a fellow artist. And it wasn't until he found out I voted for Trump that I suddenly, after 27 years, wasn't worth having as a friend anymore. This is the polarization. It's when we separate ourselves from people with differing points of view. How can that be woke? It's not. So this is harmful in the obvious sense. It diminishes open, enriching political discourse. Like with my friend, we couldn't have any political, open, enriching discourse. Why? Didn't want to talk to me anymore because of who I voted for. However, even more harmful is the reduction of individuals with whom we disagree to nothing more than their political beliefs. My friend knew me on many different levels. He and his wife and my wife were friends, close friends. We did a lot of stuff together. Our kids hung out together. There was a point where one of my daughters dated his son. We were very close individuals. We were close people. And we had a lot of things in common. Oh, but you know what happened? He found out that he disagreed with me on a political level, which we never even had a chance to debate or discuss or dialogue about. Never really talked about anything. He just up and separated himself from me. We allow our own self-image to be defined by our political identification. We fail to realize that people are more than their votes or who they support politically. If they're for Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, Joe Biden or Donald Trump, whatever it might be, people have families, friends, hobbies, passions, thoughts, and priorities. And a Trump voter is not necessarily a raving racist, is he? And a Clinton voter is not necessarily trying to leech off your hard-earned money, are they? Not necessarily. They're simply people who have a different opinion than you about politics. And those opinions don't make them dumb or evil on either end of that spectrum. Those opinions don't have to mean that they're not woke or awake people, unless they use that to mark and avoid you and say that you are lesser an individual and a person than they are because of what they believe. That's not awake. That is the opposite of enlightened. That is raging. So if you're shaking your head here right now while you're listening to this, I implore you to pause for just a moment. Can you wipe yourself clean of everything? Just stand out there with this. Can you look at yourself and label one simple opinion that comprehensively defines your entire identity? Can you do that for me? Think about it for a second. Put it in the chat room if you want. What's the one thing that defines who you are? One single opinion that you have that you want the rest of the world to label you for forever because you hold to that opinion. We should all acknowledge our complexities as individuals and refuse to be defined by any single term. Then we should extend this same courtesy to other people. Now, can I get angry with other people that disagree with me politically? Sure. Might I look at them and go, you know, what you believe and vote for could be very dangerous for our country? I could say that. But should I be extending the courtesy of not defining them by just who they vote for? So I don't want to be woke. It's not my thing. I never want to be woke. I don't want to restrict my definition of activism and intelligence to only include those who agree with me politically. I want to be open-minded. I want to be passionate. I want to be informed. I want to be engaged. I want to be an advocate and a human being beyond political issues. Did you know that when I first started studying Native American issues in this country, the 150 years ago, 200 to 150 years ago, the taking of the American West, that when I started writing about Native American issues and speaking about it as a white guy, a Wasichu, white guy, who doesn't have a lick of Indian blood in him. Yet I found myself in support of Native American issues. And there were some conservatives that kind of poo-pooed me for that. And I'm like, no. Nope. Don't go there. Don't tell me I am wrong-headed as a conservative for having a passion or a compassion or am engaged in understanding Native American culture and see what happened to the Native Americans in this country as an atrocity committed by our government. I don't say our government is bad over that, but I do believe there were some bad players that ran the show that made those decisions. So, Grumpy Stack said it best. I'm better than everyone else because I'm woke. But see, I think what a person should be is not concentrate on being woke. They should concentrate on being awake. Rising above, being aware of what's going on around you. You have a bigger, better mind than being woke about any given topic. You should be awake. I remain contentedly unwoke. Maybe we can broaden the definition of woke to include all these characteristics from both sides of the political spectrum. But until then, I'm contentedly woke because it ain't going to happen when you have people who are woke that only want you to see things their way. And if you don't see things their way, then you're the problem. So I was looking at several things the other day, and we left off on number 5 about being woke, being mindful and compassionate while you're being woke. If you're woke and you're not compassionate or open to dialogue or open to learning things from the other end of the political spectrum, you're not woke. You're biased. And I started this out and I was talking about, while it might be tempting to call out, shame, or cancel people who aren't woke from the woke crowd or woke enough, calling them out to racism, social injustice, do whatever it is, doing so can create a number of problems. No one wants wokeism to be the road to hell that's paved with good intentions. There ain't nothing wrong with being woke, folks, as long as you're awake while you're doing it. You can be woke and be woefully, sadly asleep. Uncle Dave says woke is a way for a group of people to manipulate you via various topics and shame. That's true. Being awake is the, oh my God, Dave, you cut off there in your sentence. Now you're going to leave us hanging. So being awake is something very different. So Anita Palmer says, I'm passionate about my politics, but can listen to others until they insult. Yes, they can sometimes change my mind. You know what? I've been in discussions recently online. There is that guardian barrier hedge of pseudo anonymity online in social media where people can say crap to you like they wouldn't say to your face or you'd punch them in the mouth. Frankly, I've had people say things to me that were the setting different. Being an enlightened person, I might not punch them, but I just might too. Sometimes Buddha said a swift kick to the face is probably the best way to win somebody over. I think the Buddha said that. So no one wants wokeism to be the road to hell. So I started going through some of these points. First point was, no matter what one's religious persuasion is, that there are deep words in the wisdom of Jesus in the New Testament. Jesus wasn't woke. He was awake. He was enlightened. He's the one that said, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Do you remember that story in the biblical account? I always thought it interesting. that all these dudes are dragging this woman, this harlot, this adulteress out into the street, probably half clad, and bringing her to Jesus to test Jesus. That we found this woman committing adultery. We found her in the very act. We want to stone her. Did you ever realize what was missing from that account? We caught her in the very act, they said. Where's the male adulterer? Why aren't they dragging him into the street? You ever wonder about that? They don't say a damn thing about the guy. If she was caught in the act of committing adultery, she wasn't committing adultery with a goat. She wasn't. She was committing adultery with a guy by definition of what she was doing. You could go, oh, maybe she was doing it with a woman. Please. That's 21st century thinking applied. She was committing adultery. She was probably having sex with a guy. They caught her in the act, and they pull her out in the street to stone her. What do you say, Jesus? Shall we stone her? What does he say? He stoops down and he writes in the dirt with his finger. We're not told what he writes. Maybe he's just doodling. Maybe he's just killing time. Comic timing. He said he was without sin cast the first stone. And I think that's pretty profound. And of course, that's come down to us down through the ages. Is that the wisdom of Jesus? That's also Gnostic wisdom, which is interesting. We're not getting into Gnosticism tonight. In Jesus' day, she may have been a goat, says Field Guy. No. It's a good joke, but no. So, second point. Who we are is not the mistakes that we've made, was the second point last night. We aren't the sum of our mistakes. We can't be defined by our bad opinion about something. We can't be defined by... Do you want to be defined for the rest of your life by the sum of the mistakes that you've made? Well, maybe if you keep making them, maybe if you keep stealing from people, you'll be known as, Tom the Stealer. That can define you. But that's usually not a mistake. That's a cognitive act of doing something wrong, being criminal. So do you want to be defined the rest of your life by a mistake you've made? Or a series of mistakes you've made? Is that the right thing? Should you hold others by mistakes they've made? Now, I suppose it can rank depending on what kind of mistake they made. You can hold grudges. There's all different kinds of things, but the general message, we can cut it apart and make comic comments about it, or we can do whatever we want with it. The point is basic. Do you want to be defined by your mistakes? Should we define others by their mistakes? Get all the minutiae out of it. We're not talking about the 1,001 hypotheticals that we could all bring up for what a mistake is. And that bullshit. That's not what we're doing with this. Serious question. Do you want to be defined by your mistakes? Do you want to define somebody else by their mistakes? Should we? Number 3 was labeling somebody as a racist doesn't inform the person in question that what they did might be a racist action or an offensive action to somebody. I'm not a big one on labeling somebody because they offended somebody. Oh, you've offended me. Oh, can I weep a song for you? Can I play the smallest fiddle for you? You can only be offended if you allow yourself to be offended. You have to appropriate an intended offense or insult in order for it to actually offend or insult you. If somebody wants to pass on something that is an intended insult, slight, or offense, you know what? It's not going to affect you if you don't accept it. Take a hike, we say. Hold on, I have a familial interlude from somebody who knows she shouldn't give one. Hi, come here. As long as you're here, you're already distracting. Good night. You going to bed?
I'm trying to get the dog.
All right. Don't worry about the dog. She wasn't in here until you opened the door. So, all right, guys. The smallest 8-year-old smallest one in our family, had to come in. She's making noise, so I had to say hello. The sins of the father, asked Luke Acord. I'm not responsible for what my father did. I think my interpretation, knowing what I know of theology, where it talks about in biblical text, the sins of the father passing on to the sons and the daughters and so on, that isn't about you are doomed or destined to be judged by your father's mistakes. That's not what that is all about. That teaching is breaking the chain of perhaps a chain of offense, a chain of something. You can be bequeathed the sins of your father if you pick them up and practice them yourself. If a father raises his kid and beats him, that kid many times has grown up to beat somebody else or his own kids. That is the sins of the father visiting the sons. That son has the ability to break that chain, and that's where the sins of the father do not overtake him. So it goes on here. Number 5 that we left off with last night, the fear of being called out or canceled can restrict free speech and honest differences of opinion. How many people do you know who said, I'd say that I voted for that guy, but I don't want anybody to cancel me, so I'm going to just stay quiet? That's not free speech. Would somebody woke want to cancel somebody for what they believe? If it's not out there harming other people, well, maybe that's it. Maybe they believe you voted for this guy, so you're harming the world. I might believe that by voting Biden, you've ruined our country. You're working on ruining our country, whether you think you are or not. Somebody else might say if you voted for Trump, you'd be ruining our country. I would then go to facts and I'd say, well, you have to explain to me how Trump did that versus how, and so on. You can have those debates and dialogues, but those debates and dialogues are absolutely closed down when you take that woke stance that says, I am better than you, and my opinion on this is righter than yours. And we close down the door for dialogue. Now, I'm a pretty smart guy. I think in my own right. I have some pretty solid opinions about things, but you know what? I'm not right about everything. I got room to learn. Duh. Don't we all? So the fear of being called out. Wokeism might start to represent McCarthyism or some type of Orwellian future in which freedom of expression becomes severely restricted. You notice in the name of wokeism, how many people have been censored? How many by social media I'm talking about? Now, you don't have to be on their platform if you don't want to. But there's a good point that even Elon Musk made with Twitter when he called it the forum of, it was the public square. When you got millions of people on there, billions of people on these platforms, and opinions go out, and yet the platform will deny the expression of one side of an argument, you're closing down free speech. I don't care. Call it whatever you want. But when you're so woke that you can't let the opposing point of view to your point of view express themselves without violation, without consequence or censorship or whatever it might be, you are violating free speech in the sake of being woke. No right or wrong to that. It is what it is. Number 6, where we left off last night, our egos are very sneaky. It's always looking for a way to judge ourselves as superior to other people and other groups. We might not think that of ourselves. We might go, I'm not superior to anybody, but man, my political beliefs are superior to yours. You're a moron. I'm not when it comes to the voting booth. So when we judge ourselves to be woke and other people to be not woke or unwoke, or perhaps even asleep, in effect, we're putting ourselves in a superior position to them. We have the moral high ground. I'm woke and you're not. It's almost like we're saying, I'm better than you. Now, By the way, there are things you can hold opinions on that are better opinions. You could use a really dumb example. You could say, my opinion is that you shouldn't kill people. His opinion is it's okay to kill people. That's pretty dumb. I can take a pretty solid moral stance on that one. But it's usually not that cut and dried, is it, or black and white? It's the minutia. All the junk in the middle. Ironically, instead of judging ourselves as superior by race, sex, intelligence, religion, we're judging ourselves superior to others because we're woke and they're not. We should be very wary of any version of my tribe is better than your tribe. Yeah, it's the so-called slippery slope. We might rightly argue that we're morally superior to an Adolf Hitler or the Nazis or Leopold II. But that's a version of a straw man argument. The more pervasive concern here is that people are being called out or canceled because they're not sharing a woke group's views on the effectiveness of a particular social justice policy. Boom. That's what it comes down to. Number 7, in response to wokeism, there's this brewing anti-woke backlash that's going on now. You've seen it? We've seen it. We've seen it not as there wasn't a red wave in the last election, but there were a hell of a lot of elections going on that day. While there might not be a red wave, there is certainly a decidedly different movement than what's been in power that's at play. It doesn't have to be red or blue or green. Moderates and conservatives are pushing back against progressives who have strong liberal woke agendas. Thus, the woke who are judging the unwoke as in some ways inferior for not being woke are now being judged by the anti-woke as inferior for being self-righteous son of a bitches, judgmental, moralistic, and overly sensitive, and having some kind of power to deny you certain rights that they enjoy every day. Judges are now being judged. In a manner of speaking, I guess I'm claiming that to be woke is to be anti-woke. There's your anti for you, Doug Stack. There's your anti. Who's your anti? Anti-woke. And people who claim to be woke to the woke. Now, you might be woke to me for claiming to be woke to the anti-woke. I think we just entered some kind of recursive in there, but you get what I'm saying. Number 8, if we think of woke as having its roots in awakening or enlightenment, I think that that's very wrong-headed because it doesn't. Maybe at its roots, I'll take that back. Maybe at its very roots, there's deep and even spiritual meaning. In Buddhism, Buddha is a Sanskrit word that means one who is awake. That's not one who is woke, one who is awake, one who is enlightened. Being woke isn't enlightenment. It's a point of view. So in a manner of speaking, to be awakened means that we have an enlightened state of consciousness. And if we feel the need to show and tell everyone just how incredibly enlightened I am, and we criticize others we perceive not to be enlightened like me, are we really enlightened? Is that enlightenment at all? Is it enlightenment to say I am woke and I'm going to criticize you and censor you and censor you if you speak your mind? I'm going to silence you at an event so you cannot speak words that I might disagree with. Is that what enlightenment is? Is that how you define enlightenment? Do the enlightened go around denying people the right to speak? No. In a way, an awakening precludes claiming to be awoke. So if you're going to say that you're enlightened and that you're awake and that you're woke, you better damn well look to what experience you had, this awakening you had, that precludes your claim. Number 9, if our goal is to decrease racism and increase, I almost spit. Sorry about that, folks. They used to say when I was doing stage work that when you spit while you're speaking on stage, you're enunciating properly so the audience can understand you. You can't mumble on stage. You have to over-enunciate to be understood from stage, unless they've got you on microphones, of course. But if our goal is to decrease racism and increase social justice, what's the best way to do that? What's the conduit for change? How do we help others to see that many corrective actions for social injustices are in order? How do you go about doing that? Here's a fundamental reality. We're most likely to influence others by having, wait for it, here I'm going to do a Joe Biden. We're most likely to influence others by having a relationship with them. I couldn't avoid that. I so dislike Joe Biden. Not as an individual. I feel sad for him, for where he is in life. I feel sad that he's been used. I feel sad that the people who used him are now dropping like flies, or they're jumping like rats off a sinking ship. That doesn't mean there aren't people that don't support him. But the people who put him where he is, I feel bad for him. But I make fun of Biden the president, not Biden the individual. So when we cancel those who believe differently than we do, we lose the very conduit through which we are most likely able to have an influence on them. No relationship, no change. No KNOW relationship, no KNOW change. So no NO versus no KNOW. Whether you agreed with him or not, liked him or not, Nelson Mandela, years ago, said something to the effect, and I don't know where the exact quote is on this. It was something to the effect of, try to assume the best of the other person, because you'll help bring out the best in them by doing so. So when someone does or says something hurtful or offensive, avoid assuming that they're a bad person. Like all of us, they're flawed. Like all of us, they want to be a good person, usually. I'm talking in generalities. And to be liked by others. And so remember, they're not their THEIR. They are not their shortcomings. They are not the things that they fall short on. That's not who they are. Look for the good in them. It's in there. I promise you, it's in there. And when you start taking this to wokeism, those who are woke, by definition, are the, and I have so much more stuff here I wanted to get into, and we're just going to be out of time with this in about 3 minutes. But there's an inherent problem with wokeism. There was a guy, he's a opinion columnist for the New York Times, David Brooks. He was on Meet the Press when there was a couple of years ago a big torrent of school shootings and things like that. And he made the statement on Meet the Press. He said, for all the horror of the recent school shootings, we shouldn't be scaremongering the public. There's much less, and he went on to say there's much less gun violence overall in schools today than in the early 1990s. 4 times as many students were killed per year back then than in 2018, 2019, 2020. And this comment that he made from a basis of fact, without getting into it because we don't have time for it, it elicited a lot of hatred on social media of a very interesting kind. The general diagnosis was that he was doing something wrong by not maximizing the size of the problem. And he was draining moral urgency and providing comfort to the status quo by not maximizing and, in a sense, extorting the issue. So this mental habit is closely related to what we call wokeness. In an older frame of mind, if you try to perceive the size of a problem objectively, and then you propose a solution, which might either be a radical one or a moderate or a conservative or a liberal one, you are judged primarily by the nature of your proposal. But wokeness jams together than the perceiving and the proposing. In fact, wokeness puts more emphasis on how you perceive a situation, how woke you are to what is wrong. I have a compassionate, empathic heart. Look at how woke I am. I'm a social justice warrior. That's where the importance is put. Then exactly on what you plan to do about it. To be woke is to understand full injustice. And there's no measure of moderation to wokeness. It's always good to be more woke. It's always good to see injustice in maximalist terms, and to point to any mitigating factors in the environment is to be naive, childish, co-opted part of the status quo. The word wokeness is new to us in the recent years, but the mental habits it describes are very old. It was applied to anti-Semitism throughout the years. So, folks, we got to say goodbye to the radio audience. We'll pick up with this in a few seconds. Join us on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. Until then, radio audience, live long and prosper.
Join us every weeknight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. The Intrepid radio program, a Scotty Roberts Productions broadcast.
And welcome to the captain's cabin, everyone. Good to have you here. I don't know how long we'll go tonight. It's getting for me, when I start my days between 4 and 5 a.m., and I'm going all day long, and then I do radio. Sometimes I get to the captain's cabin, and I'm like, oh my God, this was meant as an after show to last a short time, and we take it an hour usually. It just means I got not much left. Pardon me for saying that tonight, but we'll do this captain's cabin as long as I can go, and then there's going to be a point I might just say, you know what, I'm done. Good night, bye. So I've been filling in for Kenny in the mornings, Kenny Ballos. You can catch me on my Facebook channel, my Facebook page, doing a live stream tomorrow, sitting in for the ailing Kenny KB Ballos. Morning coffee with KB. He broadcasts from down in Virginia, and at the castle by the roadside, he calls it. He goes every morning, 5 days a week, doing his Facebook live stream. And he's been doing that for a long time. And he asked me if I would fill in for him a couple of weeks ago. He's having laryngitis problems, some throat issues that are going on. And he's been on steroids and all kinds of junk trying to get him back on his feet. Whether he says he feels fine, he's not sick, but he can't talk. He totally lost his voice. So every day we talk to him, and he's kind of doing better. He's getting there. Like he said all the way along, he wasn't feeling sick, just lost his voice. And the voice is getting better. So pretty soon he'll be back in the saddle. Tomorrow's Thursday. My guess is we might do tomorrow and Friday. And hopefully by next week he'll be back in the saddle. But we'll see tomorrow. He needs to drink honey tea, says Grumpy Stack. I agree. If you're out there, Ken, honey tea, bourbon, rum. So, of course, Paige Rockwell's soiree, she doesn't drink, so she might not suggest that you use rum or anything like that. But yeah, field guy, I'm running on fumes tonight. So it's one of those days. It was one of those days at about 20 minutes to 9 o'clock before the show started. I was like, I got radio in 20 minutes. I'm ready, but man, I don't feel like it tonight because I'm just, then I get into my topic. I can get impassioned and it can overtake. So, and it's usually okay. But you'll have to pardon me for being I'm stretched a little thin these days all through the day. It's not Kenny's show or anything like that. So, well, good. I got a ton in the chamber to talk about. Come on in, Sam. You call any time and I will bring you in. This will revive me. My oldest son is coming on to talk with me. Where's Sam? Here, I'm gonna post that link to to call into the show right here in the chat room as well. Sam, just click on that link and I'll be able to bring you in whenever you're ready. My son Sam. He was 22 years old a couple of weeks ago. He was born when I was 40. And I had my first son. I had my twin daughters before that, 9 years earlier. And I thought that was it. And then Sam creeped up. And then, of course, I got remarried and I married Rainey. And 9 years later, we had 3 more kids. Bing, bang, boom, year after year, it seemed. A couple years in between. So I have 6 kids, 4 daughters, 2 sons, different ages. Oh, he must be in the Facebook page. Sam, if you can hear me, there'll be a little Facebook thing by his picture. If he's over in Facebook. So Sam, come on over to click on that link I gave you, and that'll bring you into this app, this page. So hey, Sam, says Paige. So it shouldn't take too much. Sam, whenever you're ready, just come on in. So, all of that to say, not to ask for the violins to play or crying in my soup or anything. I'm just a little tired out lately. I'm tired out tonight. Ugh. I look in the mirror in the morning when I get up and I feel great at 4:30 a.m. I look in the mirror and I go, who is that old man staring back at me? It's crazy some days. So, There he is. Here he is. You ready? Give me the high sign if you're ready. Oh, he's talking. He thinks I hear him. I don't yet.
Can you hear me?
Boom. Now I hear you.
There we go.
How you doing,
All right.
son?
Getting my phone set up because I don't have a nice computer set up like you at the house. There we
Man, I hear you. I have to do that sometimes. So we might. No, we didn't lose you.
There we
Here
go.
All right. Good to see you, boy. What's
How you
going
doing?
on?
Not a whole lot. Just kind of hanging out. I got Octavia here.
Hey,
This is my
Octavia.
girlfriend.
That is my son's girlfriend. Good to see you.
She is working on a diamond. It's one of those the tiny little itty bitty diamonds you stick in. It's a
Oh yeah, the kids in Rainy have been working on some of those.
yeah.
So did that come
she's
from you guys at Christmas? I can't remember.
I'm gonna be honest. One of the biggest parts of why I love her is her creativity. She is a very
Nice.
artsy person.
Yeah,
She's a very open person. She supplies
that's a
a lot
good
of
reason.
those open-minded things for me. And honestly, part of the end of the main radio there, she wanted to be the first thing we talk about is how I get my early morning rising, and it's
Boom,
time
boom,
to.
boom.
Yeah, you were saying what, 4 or 5 o'clock? You woke
My
up
body just wakes me up at 4 o'clock now. 4:09 it seems to be every day, and sometimes I'll go back to sleep. Sometimes I'll get up. So
See,
it all depends on what's on my
about
mind.
about a 7 to 8 o'clock is usually when I'm up. And when she heard you say that, she was, that's where you get it from.
I have
why you're
from
always
the
up.
days of my childhood, I've woken up at the butt crack of dawn, and I could stay up all night and still get up at the butt crack of dawn.
Me
By
too.
the way, Grumpy Stack says, "Hey, ham sandwich."
Hey, Grumpy Stack. I was just telling my lovely woman over here about the first time I met you and how you brought me some medical supplies down in Louisiana and took us
Yes.
out for a very wonderful catfish dinner.
Oh,
which
yes.
I still appreciate. That was very good.
Yeah, Doug, that's the first time I met him face to face. It was when we were down in Louisiana. What did I call the studio down there? The makeshift studio.
Makeshift studio.
Makeshift studio. I'm just going to bed at 4, says Dave. Yeah, you're just on a different schedule, Dave.
Oh,
I'm just getting up at 4. Beth Kirkham says, good to see your face, Sam. Hello to your lady.
good to see you too. Octavia says hi. I assume.
Yeah, yes. Let's see. There's other people saying like, oh, look at Lil Buzz Lightyear. Cool, says Paige. Here. I got to change my view. Boom. There he is. Little Buzz Lightyear.
Isn't
To infinity and beyond.
I had, isn't it?
No, the one you had,
or is
it
that
got
a new
busted
one?
up somewhere along the way.
Of course, I was
So-
very hard on toys.
Yeah, that's all right. You know what I do have, though?
Oh,
I
what'd
don't
you
know if I
find?
told this to you when you were here. I don't see it. The plastic sting sword.
Oh, I remember that. I don't
Sam,
know
when he
if
was
I-
about
You
4, we had Samwise Gamgees.
Sheen Austin?
Sean Austin.
Sean Austin.
And
I don't know
Sean
why I would
Austin
say Sheen, but
came to the
Sean
Mall of America, and we lived right around the corner practically from the Mall of America. And he came there signing his book, There and Back Again, about his experiences for the 3 films filming that movie. And so Sam came, and he was all, Sam, I'm Sam, and he's got his sting sword, and it's stuck into his belt. And he's 4 years old, and we went with a couple of friends of mine and your older sisters. And so we got there, and then Sam got a little bashful.
I
And,
remember recently seeing pictures of that.
I posted a picture of that not long ago that I found.
Yeah.
And Sam, I'm holding Sam. He's got his head on my shoulder, and he won't look at Sean Astin. And he's got his sword in his belt. No, he's holding his sword. And so all of Sean Astin's handlers at this book signing were like, there was one guy, I swear, he was sitting there, he was in a black suit and he had slick black hair, and he was saying, "Now all of you just move on. Don't talk to Sean. Don't look him in the eye. Just he's going to sign, and you just move on. Just move on. Don't even try to engage him." And I'm like, "Fuck you." But but I didn't do anything. But when Sean Astin looked at Sam and he says, "Hello," and he goes, "Wow, that's quite a sword you have there."
I remember that.
And Sam was bashful about it, 4 years old, and wouldn't look at him. And Sean Astin stood up at the table. And his handler, I thought his handler was going to shit a brick, but he stood up and he said, "Well, hi, can I see your sword?" And he looks at him and goes, "That's quite a sword there. That's Sting." And they talked, Sam and Sean Astin talked for a couple of minutes, and then we moved on. We've got that book that he autographed. So I think sisters have that book.
Honestly,
So.
I would love to have a printed out picture of that and have a chance to meet him again.
Wouldn't that be cool?
And be like, "You gave me this opportunity when I was,
Yeah.
I loved it. My name is Sam."
Yeah.
Who doesn't love a movie?
And that was part of what Sean Astin said to you too. "What's your name?" "It's Sam." And he goes, "That's a good name." I mean, he was so cool about meeting you, and that was very neat. Right. And Grumpy Stack says, "Dude, you should have said something." He was 4.
I wish. Honestly, I still to this day believe that Samwise Gamgee is the main person who is, the story isn't all about
he's the main protagonist.
He's the main hero of the story.
He is the hero of the story.
Exactly.
He's the one that gets Frodo through it.
If it wasn't for Sam, Frodo wouldn't have done it. He would have died multiple times.
It's like that picture your sister Bryn drew for me. That one right up there. And I've read that to people before. The quote from the movie is in that little piece underneath. And
I love that quote.
Sam's sister Bryn drew that for me for Christmas. It was 8 years ago, believe it or not.
Her pencil art is amazing. It looks like black and white photographs.
Yeah, it's just an amazing piece. And you
can even tell from the distance. You can tell that it's a very well done.
Yeah,
at it from
like
here.
Pencil Man. So yeah, that's a lot of good things out of that movie. That Sam grew up with that stuff. The Hobbit, Grumpy. Oh yeah, duh, Grumpy. What story? He's just being funny, Paige. Oh, I saw right through you though, Grumpy. I know that's your favorite movie. So, David Castle, good to see you, brother. It's been a long time.
The extended editions.
Yeah, there's newer extended editions out.
Oh goodness.
In the last couple of years, I thought I had them all. Like 4 hours a movie. So it's like, cool. I'd watch them.
Unfortunately, I was not paying attention to the time, so I have to vacate the screen to alleviate myself. I will be back momentarily.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, we'll just here. I'll take him down until he comes back in.
Well, I'm here.
And, oh, there's Octavia. How you doing? What's on your mind tonight?
Not much. I'm off work tonight, so it's nice. I've just kind of been chilling.
That's kind of nice.
Today, pot roast with some potatoes and carrots, so that was yummy.
Nice.
We went to Walmart and got some groceries. Just been a chill but productive day.
Well, that's cool. That's good.
Yeah.
So everybody, if you're just wandering in, this is Octavia. Tav. What do we call you, Tav? Tave. Okay.
With a Y. I mean, I like Tave too, but with a Y. Like Tay.
Yeah.
Tay. I don't know.
So she is my son's girlfriend. And, girlfriend, it makes it sound so high school. She's my girlfriend. And, we last saw them both at Christmas time. And
I was going to say the 23rd, now that I'm back. Here, see if I can.
Anyway.
Excuse our inavailability to a good setup.
Oh, that's all right.
The 23rd was actually our year. So I know everybody older than us is like, oh, it's a year.
The 23rd was our year. I'm not sure what you mean.
Year anniversary, the 23rd of December.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's right, because last Christmas you guys had just started dating.
Yep.
So.
And I was down for last Christmas. She wasn't there for the Roberts family Christmas.
Yes. Matthew Sainsbury says, "Nice to meet you. You're named after Caesar Augustus' sister, Octavia." So there you go.
I didn't know that. That's good to know. We both enjoy the older Greek.
Yeah. This would be Roman. But yeah. The Caesar, Octavius, Augustus. He was the one in the biblical Christmas story. You know, that Caesar Augustus sent out word that all should be taxed, and Mary and Joseph went to Bethlehem for the census or whatever it was, according to that story. So that's who he was. His sister was Octavia. So
that's cool to know.
I also know there is an actor named Octavia. I'm not sure exactly which movie she starred in, but
Octavia.
There's quite a few, actually.
I think it rings a bell with that, and you'd say it, and I go, "Oh yeah,
oh yeah,
oh yeah." So, I don't know what I was going to say. So,
I got him in the chamber to
right.
get. We are reversing to 20 minutes into the show, the woke / awake.
Oh, okay, all right, let's do it.
It goes back into the amount of, you were saying that there's a very, if someone's Republican and someone's Democrat, it's a very split criteria. Everybody.
Yes.
You lost said friend. I know which friend you're talking about. I will not mention names.
Sure.
27 years, 28 years of friendship, and it ends because of who you voted for. Because,
hang on,
yeah.
I got some breaking up going on here. Not sure what it is. Say that again. You broke up a little bit.
What's the last thing you heard?
You said 28 years of, and then
28 years of friendship.
Oh, yeah.
You've been a friend this long, and it breaks
and
up.
And you know who that is.
Yeah.
It's like,
but it's that thing of I don't want to sound like a crazed conspiracy theorist, but it's
sure.
that theory of, not even a theory, it's a scientific thing that they did.
Mm-hmm.
You put red ants and black ants in a jar. They coexist. Yeah. But if you shake the jar, the ants immediately
attack each other,
tear each other apart.
Yeah.
And you put that theory into what we call politics today. You have the left and you have the right, and then you have the intermediate, the people that are kind of in between. They kind of agree with this, they kind of agree with that, but they're not fully left or right. I feel like I'm kind of one of those people. There are a lot of Republican views.
You're a moderate. You're a moderate.
And there's a lot of liberal views that I agree with.
Right.
But I'm not one side or the other. And I think that becomes that fact of, we have a political system that has figured out a way to shake the metaphorical jar.
Yep.
We are the ants. The left and right, they are the ants. When the jar is shaken, we tear each other apart. We tear each other down for each other's views. Because, oh, you think this and I think that, and well, we don't think the same things, so we can't ever be together.
Right.
And I look at that, and then I look at 240 some years ago when we had our revolution. We had the people that were with the king, and we had the people that were with standing colonies. And what happened? A revolution happened. I'm not saying, oh, you have to wait for bombs dropping, but it's one of those consistent things that's in my mind. It's one of those things where it's like, in my lifetime, am I going to have to worry about that bombs start dropping, and the first thing I think is
Sure.
rush to my family and
Yeah.
figure out what's going on.
Well,
You
here,
know?
get this, get this. Oh, and I just want to say very quickly, David Castle, I didn't see it until I saw people saying stuff about it. So sorry to hear about the loss of your dad. He died yesterday.
I
So
apologize. Sorry for
heart's
that.
with you, brother. Sorry to hear that. But I was going to say on that topic, tonight at dinner, we were sitting down, we had taco night tonight. And we're actually all sitting at the dinner
Wednesday.
table on a Wednesday. It wasn't even Tuesday. And we were talking, and we said something. A couple of things were brought up, and kids, Flynn, you don't know anything about that. You didn't learn about that in school, and so on. And the Holocaust came up. Somebody said something. I don't think it was me that said it. I think Flynn said it or Rainey said it. Maybe I said it. Somebody said something about the Holocaust. She goes, "What's the Holocaust?" And Flynn's like, "You don't know what the Holocaust is, dummy." Like, she's only in fifth grade, Flynn. And there's any chance you can to poke a stick at the sibling. But
Right.
well, what was the Holocaust? She said.
It's a serious thing.
And yeah, it's a serious question.
History.
And I think we were talking about movies or something too. And Schindler's List came up. And she said, "Well, what's the Holocaust?" And folks, those of you who don't know, my middle child is 11 years old. That's Rowan. And so she's asking this question, and she gets very sensitive about some of these things. She thinks she's all cool and badass, and she's got to act a certain way, but she is really sensitive about things.
Can't stand her. It's a front.
So,
I love her, but it's a
it's
front.
It's a front. Nah, she's all right. She's just a smart ass 11-year-old. She'll grow out of it. But remember, I've known her her whole life. So, but so I started telling her what the Holocaust was. And as I'm talking, it's starting to sink in a little bit. And she said, and I spent about 3 to 4 minutes talking about the Holocaust, what it was. Adolf Hitler, I said, you remember Nazism? It happened,
Right.
and it was during the last war. And she said, could something like that ever happen again?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, it
Fortunately.
most definitely could. I said, that's why we have to be on top of knowing what's right and wrong. We have to be on top of defending our country,
Right.
defending the country, the kind of country we have. And she sat back on, and the conversation was going on, and she started crying. The way she did when they were talking about nuclear war a year ago or something. And they were hearing about it. And she goes, "What's nuclear war? Are we going to be bombed?" And so on and so forth. And so she started to cry a little bit. And I said, "Ro," and I didn't realize this until Rainey talked to her a few minutes later. She said something about, she thought I was saying it could happen here in the United States. And she thought it had happened here. Was I talking about something that happened here in the United States? And it could happen here again, you said? And so she was pretty upset about that. And without knowing much about it, but I talked to her about my grandfather, who you also never knew, who died a few years before you were born. And so gave her a little mini history lesson on the Holocaust. And she was very moved by that. So while Rowan's got this cool thing that she does the exterior, she's got to be cool for her friends at school and all of that. Typical teenage girl. She, at the same time, very sensitive about things. And so I want to make sure she learns a little bit more about it today. So now, in the upcoming...
It's a very crazy aspect. I mean, when you really break it down and what they did, how they did it, and why they did it, it's just
right.
It's insurmountable, but at the same time, I don't want to say I classify myself, but I have that belief that humans are animals dig deep enough, if you push enough, we enact those animalistic
Sure we do.
behaviors.
Sure we
You
do.
know, I mean,
We have
look at
reason, which is above the lower animals, certainly.
Right.
And I was trying to find a way to explain to her what he did and what his reasoning was, Adolf Hitler, why he did what he was, and trying to explain his reasoning to an 11-year-old who'd never heard about it.
and it's unrealistic to explain that.
It is
Something that you really can't think about until you're older.
That's
But
right.
at the same time, it's unshakable. It's Winston Churchill. He gave a speech, and it was on the assault of Normandy. He said on the speech, if I remember it correctly, the quote is, "On this day we set upon a mighty endeavor to free a suffering humanity, the Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
Our sons, pride of our nation, lead them straight and true, for their road will be long and hard. Men's souls will be shaken by the violences of war, and in this hour we shall prevail."
Yep.
And I think that is very deep, because it is gripping into the fact that humans can be a very violent, excruciating, brutal race of people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the last hundreds years of what has happened in our time. Then you go back another 100 years, and the further back you go, the worse it gets in every kind of way.
Right.
And it's that fact that we are a civilized race now, but if we are pushed in any sort of way into surviving, we will either die or
bare our teeth and the knives come out.
There is always a plan B. There is always we will move on.
Beth Kirkham says, I was about her age when I read Anne Frank, The Diary of Anne Frank. Poor kid. It's a lot. It's a lot to soak in when you first hear about this kind of thing. And
you just put a huge smile on Uncle Dave's face.
I saw you. Hi, Uncle Dave.
Oh, and by the way, hello to Lisa Marie Stucci. Good to see you.
Uncle Dave approves of the roast beef and carrots and stuff. That's
yes.
So good.
It was very good.
So good to see you, Lisa. It's Rocky Stucci's sister is in the room.
I get that Flynn doesn't get it, but I had a conversation over dinner with Rowan one night, and that little kid is way deeper than she lets on.
Yeah.
We started talking about
the cool dumbass thing is the facade.
Yeah. So. Yeah. We got into the metaphysics of life after death and us being beings of energy. And she just, off the top of her head, talked for about 10 minutes on her beliefs on where we go after we die and everything. And she was spot on. I was just like, all right, kid gets it.
Yeah.
I'm glad she's open-minded like that. You know?
Yeah. She's a little bruiser. I'm okay with that too.
Yeah.
And I think it's a hard thing for an 11-year-old, you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To fully comprehend, and for the fact that she is aware and she is thinking about it and that she puts that thought into it is big.
Yeah.
Age.
I think it affected her. What scared her, I think, was she thought this was something that happened here in the States, and as she understands it, and that was her first perception of it. And when she asked, can that happen again? And I said, well, sure it can. I didn't realize she was thinking that can happen here in our own country.
It could happen here if we aren't vigilant.
And I told her it can happen. It could happen anywhere if we don't safeguard ourselves against it.
When you have a president standing on the steps speaking out vehemently against what he calls MAGA Republicans, just insert the word Jew. It's the same thing that Hitler did. I'm going to pick a term and blame everything on this group of people and make everybody hate this group of people so that I can divide the nation. And
Right.
That
It
should
goes back
never
to
be
the answer
done
star.
from the presidential pulpit.
Well, it is really, I've known this almost from the start. I've held this opinion, but my opinion is that Biden has been the most divisive president we've ever had.
I thought
And
Obama was, but Biden has certainly taken that.
I
to
thought
a
Obama
degree.
was too, but Biden's taking the cake. But then I also have to temper that with, I don't think he really knows what the hell he's doing anymore.
Well,
I don't know that he's in charge.
He's
I
not
think
in charge.
He's
correct mindset.
you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that Star Trek episode where the Federation guy was the puppet, and they had recreated Nazi Germany
They
on some
recreated
planet
Nazi Germany on some planet, yeah.
and used him as a figurehead puppet to get stuff done.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
It always comes back to Star Trek.
that's why I don't. I think you have not seen anybody, his own party especially, declaring the 25th Amendment and taking him down, not out of malice, but because he's just doesn't have the wherewithal to do the job.
Well,
And
I don't think there's an
that's saying it
individual that's
politely.
behind him. I think it's a group of people, and that group of people doesn't want to give up their power.
Well, that's what I'm
And that
saying.
group of
I'm thinking the reason that they aren't taking him out and not taking him out of power is because they're ruling the country, this group, this cabal,
Mhm.
whatever it is that's behind him. They're perfectly satisfied to have him as a figurehead
Well, what did Trump
until
say?
it goes too far and they can't control it anymore. So
what did Trump say almost 3 years ago? They're coming for you, but I am in the way.
Yep.
What does that tell you? What do you from that?
Yeah.
And I want to go back onto what Uncle Dave was saying. It goes into that there are a certain amount of people that have the power. And I know people don't want to look into that and go, oh, it's the Illuminati and it's this and that. Right? You get labeled as,
Not us.
You're a conspiracy theory. No, if you really look behind it, what has every part of history has been is there has been some sort of society that has some sort of higher power that has overtaken it, that has crumbled the society. And what do we have now? We have oil companies, we have power companies, we have all these companies making these industrial things that we can't live without anymore. Because going back to what I said, I believe that if man is pushed to a certain point, man survives or man dies. Look at 1,000 years ago. Man survived or man died. Man hunted, man provided, man made shelter. If you didn't do that, you didn't survive. I believe that man is very in loss with the survival of just life. I think life is more about TikToks and social media and this, that, and the other thing. People don't worry about if the world ends tomorrow, where am I going to be?
Well, and what they don't think about, and they keep threatening, is with the grid. Oh, the grid could go down and then we'd be without electricity and blah, blah, blah. What they don't seem to realize is it's the snowflakes and woke people that are going to freak out when they lose all their electricity in their devices. The conservatives that have been brought up on the farm that are hunters and gatherers and do reenactment and understand how to live without that stuff, we're going to be fine.
Exactly.
That's
so thing where
they're the ones going to be panicking.
You want to turn it into a I told you so, but at the same time, you're saying all these things and you're saying it's possible, and the other side is going, well, it's possible, but out of sight, out of mind. So, whatever. I live my life. I have my stuff. I can charge my phone. I have clean water. And I'm not a perfectionist. I don't, in all honesty, I know basic survival skills. I believe that if I was thrown out in the wild, I could survive.
Sure.
But I don't believe that I would fully survive. Like if I was naked and afraid type of situation, I don't know if I would survive.
I'd find
like
shoes.
I was thrown into that situation with the right circumstances. I would make my way. I would carve my way into new, but at the same time, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know I don't believe it's going to be zombie apocalypse. My honest fear for the future in my lifetime would be another civil war, another revolution, something like that.
The thing about that is it's not going to split north and south or east and west. It's going to be red versus blue. And so it's going to be big city against the rurals. And they may have a lot of people, but we control the food.
Right.
It's like on board ship, the cook in the galley gets away with an awful lot of stuff that the rest of the ship doesn't get away with. And people wonder, why is that? And it's because basically the cook can say to the captain, you did want to eat the rest of this voyage, correct?
Right.
You don't want to spend your entire day in the head, right?
That works both ways too.
Yeah.
Well, but the cook can very easily just make the captain uncomfortable every day by just tainting the food just enough to keep him in the head. You don't mess with the cook.
You go back to the what I was talking about, the ants in the jar. That's the big thing, is everybody is so divided that they aren't willing to put aside their differences and defeat a greater power.
But this is the difference between being woke and awake. The people that are awake understand we're all ants in a jar. And the chore is to get everybody else awake, not woke, but awake. So they understand the big guy is shaking the jar. Stop getting agitated at each other and wait till he opens that damn lid so we can get him.
Right.
Hey, Grumps.
We agree with that.
Hey, Grumpy Stack. How you doing?
That's then where you put in question, it's like crown royalists in the revolution eventually were executed or imprisoned for life.
Or sent back home.
That border,
we'll send you back to England.
And go back to England.
When do we say
go to Canada?
Enough? Because I hate to say it, but I fully believe that there are certain crimes in our society today, even that let's bring back hangings. You're a rapist. You diddle children. You get the rope in the town square. I say let's.
You're unrecorded.
And that may be animalistic. That may be shallow, but you know what? I think there are certain sins that you just cannot come back from.
Yeah, I don't think that that's shallow at all. I think
certain things
you become too woke and too politically correct to be able to even suggest that we should do those things anymore.
Yeah, and
but you also have to be careful, and this is what happens in every revolution. The revolutionists start to feed on themselves. Yep. And you look at the French Revolution with the guillotine.
That's what happened.
They ran out of nobles. So then they started going after bureaucrats. Well, they were bureaucrats. That's how they knew what the nobles were doing. And once they got through the bureaucrats, they started going after the politicians that they had just elected. It's like, whoa, stop.
I'm talking people.
Let's stop.
There are certain crimes today that you look at and you're going, why?
I completely understand what you're saying, Sam. I'm just saying that once you give the people taste of blood in the city street, in the court, the town square, that you've got to be careful how you deal with that. There's a reason that we took corporal punishment out of the town square and into the prisons, because people get bloodthirsty. They get to the point where they want to see a hanging, and that's not good.
But at the same time, you look at prisons. What are prisons? Taxpayers are paying for prisons.
I'm not saying you don't still have corporal punishment. I'm saying you don't do it. The public execution is a bad thing.
I believe it's a bad thing, but I believe that there are certain stoops that people will stoop below this point. You believe
slippery slope.
Hypothetical situation: if someone that you loved was raped.
I can give you a list of people.
Would you believe that person should just spend the rest of his life in prison, or would you rather see that person hanged?
No, I'm not saying that he should be hanged. I'm just saying you don't do it in the town square.
You're just saying don't make it a public thing. I don't think you make a sport out of it for anybody. You say
It's a punishment.
You know, this dude who
Right,
raped
but-
this woman or murdered this person or did that, they were executed today at 8 a.m. Bye. I don't think that should be. I think I think it's enough. Is it a deterrent? That was one of the arguments against capital punishment. Well, it's not really a deterrent. Well, I think capital punishment can be a pretty strong deterrent.
But part of the problem with the
depending
way
on-
crime and punishment is dealt with now. So somebody goes in, they use a gun to hold up a liquor store. The first thing the DA does is plea away those gun charges.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't think that. I think it should be the opposite. You use a gun in a crime and we throw a bigger sentence on you.
Yes.
Okay. So just because you had a gun with you, even if you didn't use it, you're going to get this many years. If you used it, you're going to get life, even if the person lives. So don't do that. Okay. Don't even
Strong
fake that
punishment.
you have a gun, because we're going to throw more years at you because you said you have a gun, even if you didn't have a gun. Okay. Really
Is
make
that
the
like
deterrent so
saying-
those thugs stop wanting to carry them, because having a gun while doing the crime is going to make their sentence worse than if they just do the robbery.
Right. So, Grumpy,
Almost
what were
like
you going
saying-
to add to that?
No matter the crime.
I was gonna say it's like saying bomb on a plane.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. You just don't do it. It's dumb.
it's just
Criminals
common sense. Don't
do what they do no matter what.
Well, it's like
But
all
don't-
you have to
Don't
do.
leave that stuff away. Throw the book at those people.
You can get in trouble just for saying that you wanted to assassinate the president or something like
Yeah.
that. You say
Yeah.
you make something like the
But
Secret
at the same
Service will
time,
be
the
all over
law
your ass. It probably
can't
want to look into me now
drugs over
because they knew I said that. So
The law is you can't bring jugs over the border. And yet that's a consistent problem that our country has had is
You
drugs
can't
coming
take Rainey out of the country?
to the border.
What?
drugs.
Oh, drugs. I thought you said jugs.
I'm saying
That's
that's
so
the thing, though.
vernacular.
Criminals will do what they will do no matter
Yeah.
what. So where is the line of you can be a criminal and you can do what you do, but you're going to get punished to this amount? That's where
Right.
I'm saying there are certain
But
There-
that's where I'm saying they don't do that. The
that there's
DAs
no
whittle
mer-
those crimes down to lighten the sentence and stuff. Stop doing that. Throw the book at these guys. You broke the law. Throw the book at them.
exactly throw the book at them.
Well,
but
there
that's
you go.
also like
If there's a certain
That-
crime that you are committed of, if we don't want to do public hangings like you're saying because you say that the public will get a thirst for blood, take them out back when nobody's looking, put a bullet in their head and call it a day.
That's one way. That's certainly vigilante
That's the
justice.
end
It
of
was
it.
something we
You've certainly raised them well.
I did. That's our
Yeah,
system
right.
of jurisprudence. It's
but a lot of
set up
the
to protect the innocent. That's why we claim that you're innocent until you're proven guilty in a
Well,
court of law. That's
trial.
why we have that. We might know somebody's as guilty as shit,
Don't
but they still have to have the process because that protects the process for those who
And it
need.
protects the
need it.
innocent that are wrongly accused.
Yes,
but that's also
but I know what you're saying,
Yeah.
Sam. I do.
a lot of the let's take example
I'll
for
do that.
of the school shootings. A lot of the people who do the school shootings, they want their name out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
they're
we
doing it for
didn't-
fame.
If we didn't spotlight their name, like somebody goes out and shoots up a school. Oh, somebody shot up a school. Well, everybody wants to know who it is. You can't
No,
know
you
who
don't.
it is.
yeah.
You can't.
And everybody wants to know
Yeah.
why. Why we have to look
It's-
into why this. I don't care why. It's what he did.
Going
Just
What-
like this thing with
So-
these 4 college students out in Ohio. Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, well, I have to know the motive. You know what I think the motive is? He's working on his doctorate in criminology. I think he figured he knew so much about crime he could do the perfect crime, and just wanted to prove he could do the perfect crime. I think it's as
I can
simple as that. He didn't know who those 4 people were. That's part of what
Mhm.
makes it the perfect crime. I'm going to pick 4 random strangers that I have no connection to. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to kill them. I'm going to leave, and I'll be
And
graduating
he's got
this year.
no prior record of. He
And
never
anything.
even stole a candy bar.
Yeah.
far as we know.
Because that makes it the perfect thing.
Let me be the butter topping onto what Doug and Dave just brought up. So Dave was saying that, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
It's okay.
That
I do it all the time.
People are idolized for what, like school shootings.
Yeah.
But you look, okay, this is going back into my whole ideology that humans are animals and we will dig down to that last instinct. You look back in history and what do you have? Most of what you have are good people and bad people. You have those people, Achilles, you have these heroes and these people that stood up to this, that, and the other thing that did amazing things. And then you look at people are being idolized for these terrible things. They're doing these terrible things. They're getting their name recognized for it. And it goes into that ability. It's just, I heard there was another shooting at the Mall of America recently.
There was.
It's endless.
It wasn't a mass shooting.
Somebody
shot somebody.
Civilization,
I think it was drug related.
As
Two
amazing
gang guys went after each other.
Civilized as we are as people, how have we stooped to the point that we are idolizing the names of people who shoot up places like this?
Look at American history. Look at American history, though. Jesse James and Billy the Kid, and there's just an endless list of gunslingers and shooters going back that were bank robbers and murderers.
Exactly,
and they're part of our folklore.
Yeah, and it's terrible. It's then you look at
Australia is the same way.
You go to
but then they were made of criminals. So
where's the line drawn?
Yeah.
That's the overall. You step back and you look at everything and you go, where's the line drawn? Where's the line? Because
we're 150 years later. Everybody knows about Jack the Ripper,
right?
And the 7 or 8 suspects.
I know, Dave.
And everybody has their own theory.
Dave and Dad, the beginning of the Braveheart movie where he goes, England historians will call me a liar. It's like history is written by those who have hanged heroes.
Yeah.
Yep.
History is his story. So the winner is always his story.
Exactly.
Delaney Pearl Jones just reminded me too here. Just last week, a 6-year-old kid shot his teacher in the stomach at school.
Well, 6 years old, he can't aim much higher.
Well, there's that.
You add 24 years to that, and it's a president.
Yep. There's that. Well, if it seems like my answers are short, it's because I got nothing. I got no brain cells left.
He's all burnt out.
I am done.
Poor
My
Scotty.
brain is absolutely burned out. So I'm not being very participating.
I'll talk for an hour.
Huh? Oh yeah. I could just go away. I could
Such
just
a hard
turn myself
job.
off, and you guys could keep
Ask
talking.
her, I do that.
I could do something like this. I could.
What was that?
Not like putting tires on or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not like actually working.
Yeah.
Did you paint anything today?
No.
Me?
Did you illustrate anything?
No.
Did you write anything?
Well, a little bit of digital illustration today. It was
Okay, so you did do some work. You did some actual work.
I do actual work all day long, every day.
It takes a lot of energy.
It's what form of
Scotty
actual
Roberts.
work it takes. I could be illustrating. I could be writing. I'm working on.
Well,
a book
that's what
right
I
now.
asked. Did you write or did you? I mean, that's work.
Well, what
I get
did I
that.
just
I'll give you
say?
that one.
I said, yeah, I did. I said it was mostly technical work.
Talking
today.
for an hour, that's not really work.
No. This who pays me to do this? So, well, some of you do, and I want to thank you. I don't want it to sound like I was ungrateful. Some people that are followers of this show, they take care of us.
I follow you,
and and you pay our bills. So, He wasn't going to correct me. He was going to let the world think that. Yeah, I take care of their bills.
What I was thinking is I seem to lately pay a lot of Rowan's bills. I don't know what that's all about, but
Yeah. Hey,
she's
Uncle
always
Dave.
like, Uncle Dave, I need $50. Uncle Dave, could you buy me a new computer? Uncle Dave, could you get me a phone? Uncle Dave,
When
could
did
you buy
Uncle
me a
Dave become
toothpaste?
the cash cow?
I don't know.
Dave, let me take your walking stick till you buy me Chinese and a new iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, I said to her, I said, if I buy you a new suitcase, what do I get out of the deal? Well, I'll let you take me to Chinese.
That's it. And
Well,
to
the
me,
real story.
as smart ass as that sounds, that is clever as shit.
Yeah.
You know, she's got a clever mind. She could be a sitcom writer. What's that?
Say it. She's gonna be a player.
Yeah,
maybe.
She says to me one day, her and Ellery were in the car, we're riding back after doing Chinese, and she goes, "You could be my sugar daddy." And I'm like, I don't think you understand what that is.
I don't think you know what the meaning of those words are.
It's an older man that buys me lots of stuff. There's a two-way street there that's not happening in this relationship.
Yeah. That's pretty one-sided there, Ro, when you think about it.
Dad, you need to send her to great grandma, what's her call it, where she lives out in the middle of nowhere and she needs to spend a year with her.
Yeah. Because she needs to go to, you remember those series they did on PBS, like Prairie House?
I love her.
I love
I love those shows.
Rowan would last 20 minutes and then she'd be, I'm done.
I have no phone. Where's my phone?
Have you seen my phone?
What's that?
Telling you, Dad, you have to send her to some great grandmother out in the wilderness before I murder some stupid boyfriend and spend the rest of my life in prison, because I swear to God I will.
John Ward wanted me to send you to Egypt for a season so you could work with them. Digging in the dirt.
Absolutely. But if
that was a few years ago.
Octavia's going, whoa, wait a minute. I get a vote in this now.
If this ever happens, I'm taking the brown penman hat with me.
Oh, yeah. We're past that. It was when you were a teenager.
Yeah.
So, that's okay. He said, "Send Sam out here to Egypt for 6 months."
John and Maria said, "You should come with us for a season and be our personal cook." And I said, "Oh, but John, all the screaming and the shouting and the blood and the gunshots and everything." And he goes, no, it's not like that. It's very simple. I said, no, that would be me killing everyone around me. I would lose my shit there.
I really enjoyed being there. I remember every time I went for about a month every time I was there, and had a good time with it. And it was tougher because I have family, so I can't do that stuff anymore. But man,
I understand it. But part of me, there is a very small part of me that will always be upset that I never got to go with you.
Yeah. Well, I was just talking to Flynn last week sometime, and
I'm going to bow out.
You're going to bow out, Grumpy? Are we not letting you talk enough? Sorry, brother.
No, I got to go to sleep. I'm tired.
Me too.
Well, you looking good. I'll tell you.
Good to see you, brother. Thanks for calling in.
All right.
See you, Doug. Yeah, I said to Flynn the other week, just last week, the other day, I said I would still like to see if we can't get a trip together for just the boys.
I would love
the
to.
boys going to go to Egypt. But then I wouldn't want to leave Rainey out. I wouldn't want to leave Ellery out and Rowan out. But, you're looking at an expensive trip for 5 people. But
the girls, you know what they would like to do? They would like the twins to take them to Disneyland. So let them go to Disneyland, and you guys take off for Egypt for a while.
That's a possibility. We'll have to
see how it plays out up there.
We'll have to see how it all plays out when it becomes real talk instead of, it costs. What does it cost to go to Egypt? To fly to Cairo and back, $800.
When you time this? You time this for when Rainey wants to go salmon fishing in Alaska. Mm-hmm. Rainey goes to Alaska. You 3 go to Egypt, and the girls go and hang out with Bryn and Abby at Disneyland during that time. Everybody's gone on a trip, and you all come back and everybody's
It's a
happy.
wonderful thought, Dave. Coordinate that shit for us, will you?
Well, because Bryn and
you be
Abby
our
will pay for
travel
the
agent?
girls, so that doesn't come out of your pocket.
Sure.
And you
Can
could
you
probably
be our-
work something out with.
It's making sure everybody's schedules that you got 3 different trips going at the same time. That could be
That's not that complicated.
something rough to wrangle.
That's
But
not that complicated.
it doesn't have to be at the same time either.
No, but that would be the easiest. That would be the easiest.
Oh,
Because
sure.
then
Sure it would.
Rainey's not going to complain about being stuck with all the kids while you're in Egypt, because
Mhm.
she's going to be up fishing and having fun in Alaska.
Yep.
And you 3 are off in Egypt doing your thing, and the girls aren't going to complain about not getting to go because they're going to be at Disneyland with the twins.
For the 8th time.
And you know what? And the twins aren't going to be unhappy because they're only covering 2, the little ones, and that's much easier for them.
Okay, you get it all worked out for us, will you?
Okay, I'll work it out.
Have it on my desk on Monday.
All right.
Travel
What
agent.
Uncle Dave does.
Where do I fit into this?
What he
equation?
does.
Do you want to go to Egypt, or do you want to go
I'd
to
take
Disney, or do
Alaska
you want to
over
go to
Disney,
Alaska?
said Sean. I would too, frankly. I enjoyed Disney. I've been to Disney and it was great.
There's nothing like a $75 cheeseburger. Mm-mm.
Nothing like it.
Oh, yummy.
Yeah, when we all had, who was it? It was, we had 9 people. All right. So we had 9 people that Bryn and Abby and Zach paid for lunch. So it was Bryn, Abby, Zach, and then the 3 of us. So it was 8 people. We went to a place that was a buffet. But of course, they brought out all these different plates because it was COVID and they're still wearing masks. So can't have people just go up and choose their own food.
Of course not.
So, but we had this gorgeous buffet. It was excellent. But I saw the tab when it came in. It was like something like close to $1,000 for 8 of us to have this
Buffet.
It's $700 to $800, somewhere in there.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. And that was
Yeah.
at Disney.
Yeah.
But and then you got to see Mickey and Goofy. They all came in. That was part of the show. You're paying for that too. But you couldn't get near them.
Because COVID.
Ellie stood up and ran over to Mickey when she saw him. And Mickey actually backed off and put up his hands. I'm like, oh, come on. You got to be a little smarter than that.
Terrified of a 7-year-old.
Yeah, she might give him COVID through his suit.
God.
So,
And the 2 masks he was probably wearing.
inside, yeah.
I'm going to be honest. Since COVID has started, I have been sick 3 times, and not once have I tested positive for COVID. I have not had any of the vaccines. I have not had any of the boosters. And honestly, even though my mother, as an abusive woman as she was, I had a pretty good immune system.
Yeah.
And, you know.
All that vodka.
You got that from me. Now I've had COVID twice.
No better. We drinking on that pirate rum.
I've had COVID twice.
Hard.
And once you experienced it, you came over and brought the test over because Rainey and Flynn were in Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was scared. And it scares me not because
I wasn't scared.
I'm scared of the sickness itself. I'm just recently 22-year-old. I'm really not scared of getting sick. I get sick and it's a day or 2.
Yeah.
I was scared for you as the fact that I love you as my father and the fact that I know that you have had medical issues.
Sure.
You know?
Well, that's funny. I've never really thought of it in those terms. You know, the first time I had it, I didn't even know I had it. I just felt like I got hit by a pickup truck for about 4 days. And then it lasted about 10 days and I got my taste buds back and I was back to normal. I had it again this last August when the girls were, when Rainey took Flynn to Alaska. And you saw me in that first 3 days. And it's funny, Sam came over and see, because I had COVID, I had the 2 girls at home. I couldn't cook for them because I was sick with COVID. Even when I could stand up and walk out, I'd stand 10 feet away and I'd supervise them in the kitchen. because I didn't want him to pick up any germs from me. I would do that for him if I was vomiting, had the flu and vomiting. I wouldn't go cook dinner for my kids.
And
I'd have somebody else come. So Abby,
I was
a couple of nights
of the
sent dinner from North Carolina. She called DoorDash or something like that and had dinners delivered for us and stuff. And Sam came over, brought the COVID test and all of that. And I was pretty much back on my feet after about 3 days, but it hung on for about a week. I didn't lose my taste buds the second time.
Last year when I got it, I had COVID and the flu at the same time. That was awful.
Jeez.
And see, it wasn't as bad the second time I had it. The first time it shot our antibodies through the ceiling.
I think something that's interesting, not to get into a whole conversation, but my mom, she was a child. Her parents got her vaccinated, the normal vaccinations that a child's get. And then I didn't get any because my mom was against those when I was that age. And then my brother, he has about 5 of them, but he doesn't have all of the vaccinations. And out of all 3 of us, during the whole COVID time, I never got COVID once. My brother got it twice, and my mom got it once, I think. But
our whole house here had it 2 years ago. Back before they really were, the vaccine wasn't even really out yet. It was the beginning of 2020, January of 2020. So 3 years ago now. Was it 2020 or 2021? I mix that up. I can't remember if it was 2 years ago. It was the same year the kids took us to Disney World in September. It was January that year. So 2021.
Those days,
and we all had it. We got it from, it was going around the Cub Scouts here in town. And the kids brought it home. Kids, you never would have known they had it.
Yeah.
It treated them like a cold. One of them didn't get it.
Be right back.
And even though we weren't sequestered or wearing masks in our house, strangely, we had one child not get sick.
Right.
Being around all these sick people. And I had it, and then Rainey got it after me, and then we were back to normal. So Carlene says the new strain is horrible, vaxxed or not. Lasts about 4 days.
I'm not really sure, but when COVID first started, I did get really sick for about 3 weeks. But I tested twice, and both times it came up negative for COVID, but it had all the signs of COVID.
And they found there were a lot of false negatives. There were also a lot of false positives.
Right.
So.
I mean, that also was the beginning of it, so I'm not really 100% sure, but.
I had some good friends of mine who were very liberal progressive. I'll state that because that kind of governed their stance on the vaccines. And they had kind of put it out there that, hey, we got vaccinated. We also got, I think they got 2 or 3 boosters. And then they both got it. And they said, well, it wouldn't have been as bad. It would have been much worse if we had not had the vaccination. Yet one of them, it took 6 to 8 months. I don't even know if she's still out of the woods on it. She got the long haulers, one that they call it. And it's like, I thought the vaccine was supposed to protect you from that.
Right.
And it bugs me not to go into the whole conspiracy theorist mountain, as I will call it. But there are a lot of people that have shares in the vaccine, the COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
There are a lot of political people.
There is, and you are entering something that there's a lot of meat to that, and we could talk about that. But not tonight.
It goes deep.
It does.
It goes, you start talking about it, and it starts at the base of the mountain, and the peak just grows and it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows. Because it's like, you don't want to sound crazy. You don't want to be like, oh, we need to start killing off the secret society or anything like that. But at the same time, it's like, you think about it and it's like, it's really not that far-fetched. People who are obsessed with power. I'm not a very religious person. I believe that when we die, we just kind of turn into worm food. But at the same time, I'm not out of the perspective of looking at there's a higher
You
power.
should talk to your
But
sister. She
I
understands.
look at the 10 Commandments, and I look at the fact that, you know, the love of money is the root of all evil. And
There is a lot of truth in that.
A lot of higher powers that we have in our society nowadays are people who are ruled by money, are people who are the richest people on the earth, control this thing, that thing, and that thing. What is it? There's 9 families. I think there's 9 families.
No, there are 5, and they're part of the Pentaveret. The Gettys, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, Colonel Sanders before he went teats up.
In all seriousness, there's 9 to 10 families that control the oil.
The Bilderberg Group.
The Bilderberger, yeah.
When you
Bilderberger.
Honestly, think about it. What is it? 9 to 10 families, I think. Yeah. I haven't completely. Oh, and there then he's showing. Yeah. Well, what are you saying? The Masons are the Templars, and all the Assassin's Creed games I've played are
that's BS. The Assassin's Creed is BS stuff, but
okay. He says that as a Mason's Templar.
I am a Masonic Templar, but that Assassin's Creed stuff has nothing to do with anything in reality.
I promise you, Uncle Dave, I'm never gonna sink to that place. I will spare you.
There you go. Well, guys, as much as I would love this to go on for 2 more hours, I can't do it. I'm losing my mental faculties through the sweat on my brow as I speak. So I'm becoming mentally midgeted next to you 2 giants. So
do you want a chocolate?
Oh, could I?
Just send it through the advanced fax machine.
There it is.
I'm a Mason. We have personal teleporters. I'll just send some more.
Hey, if we can do 3D printing, when's going to be the day where we have replicators?
Yeah. I want to get a 3D printer so I can print out my own assault rifle.
There it is.
Now we're on a list.
Now we're on it. All right, guys.
Don't say that stuff online.
Yeah.
Of course not. Also, I don't.
These are the jokes, folks. These are the jokes. That's how you follow it up. All right, Uncle Dave. Good to see you. Get out of here. I'll talk to you soon.
Amendment.
And there he's already gone. And Sam and Octavia, good to see you. And Sam, my son, I love you. It's great having you in here. And let's see, what was I going to say? I don't even know. See, my mind's gone. I'm done. I'm just burned out for the day. So, not that I'm a lightweight. It's just gangs up on you after a while. So
tell your dad I need him to make me a dirk.
I'll talk to him about it.
Tell him I need him to make me a nice dirk.
He's probably got some laying around.
Tell him to send me a couple. Tell him I'll pay for them.
I will talk to him. See what he's got laying around.
Sounds good.
So he always says to me, he's in his mid-80s, so he gets a little forgetful, but he always says to me, how's that kid of yours? What's it? It's like that kid. What's his name? I go, Sam? He goes, yeah, that kid of yours. And of course, you didn't grow up knowing him. You've met him. Did you even meet him once?
I don't think so.
So that's my dad out in Ohio. So there's a long story there, folks. Don't worry about it. Nothing malicious there. So, all right. On that note, we're going to call it.
All right.
And we're going to get out of here. So, Sam, you can join me. I don't know if you've seen the new Captain's Cabin little reel we did for the in and the out. So we're going to get out of here, and I'm going to just have Sam stay there, and we'll both give you the live long and prosper, folks. And we'll talk to you all soon. Thanks for being here.